everybody, to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. It is brilliant to get on here and speak to you. In what has been an incredibly turbulent week, it's good to sit down and dissect a little bit of the Bachelorette episode 4. Now, Chris, where would you like to start today?
Well, I've got to say, Dave, I think it's very, very nice the way you put that. You know, this week we've had an absolute drama queen, someone who's dragging people around her down. And then you've got the other drama that's going on in the real world, Dave. So it's almost like Donald is mirroring Claire, but we won't get political. But there you go. There's been plenty of toys thrown out the pram, Dave, this last week. Let's just say that. From watching from afar, I can't even imagine what that must be like for our American friends, Dave. So, yeah, that's about as political as I want to get.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll all be brought to a close pretty soon, and starts another chapter then. But I mean, Chris, I guess we have to start off, really, don't we? So finishing off from the last episode where Claire didn't give out a rose, and boy's clearly not happy about it. And you've got the boy band manager, I can't remember, is it Kenny or something? He's questioning why he's there, and you've got the boys speculating a bit about Dale and have they been seeing each other before or what have you. And then we get Chris Harrison comes in a little bit out of breath, I have to add.
Yeah.
And they have the you and me talk. What did you make to that?
I give Chris a lot of credit, Dave, because I think he was at the point of saying, you're taking the piss. Now, I would hate, Dave, and I really, really hope I'm taking, for once, you know me, I can smell the bullshit radar straight away, whether it's right or wrong. I just think I go with what I think straight away. I usually don't try and take a step back, do the old bull in the china shop. But I am taking Claire for a word. If she's willing to swear on her father's grave that she has had no contact with Dale, which I have been completely not believing at all. But if you are going to go to them lengths, Dave, then I've got to believe that. And I'm just hoping that the little video we got of next week's episode doesn't prove that because that for me, Dave, would be it. I would be going absolutely Chris crazy on her because that is a disgrace if she would lie about that. But I think me and Sam watched it together this week, and I think what's interesting is Sam's made a very good point. She said she's definitely into him more than he's into her, and I'm like, yeah. And has she fell in love with him, Dave? This is my theory as we were talking. Has she fell in love with him off his social media life? And I'm using the old quotation fingers because people who are influencers have this amazing life on a fucking Instagram and YouTube and all that, Dave. But we all know what real life's like. So has she fell in love with the idea of Dale? I'm not sure, but I really hope to God that she wasn't bullshitting us, Dave, because that would be it forever, I think.
It's not just social media influencers, is it? You see it all the time, don't you? People who've got these great lives on social media, maybe not Twitter. Twitter does seem particularly toxic and brings out the worst in people. Yes. But, on Facebook, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so grateful for everyone and all my friends and stuff. And you meet them in real life and, like, fucking miserable, I just think it's a dangerous game to come to a complete conclusion about someone purely off the social media. You've surprised me a little bit there, Chris, because you're absolutely taking her at a word. But I don't really believe anything that she says, quite honestly. And I think it's probably my turn to be bad cop. But I mean, I'm sure we'll come back to the whole Chris Harrison talk because I do think that was quite interesting. But when Claire was talking to the group, right, I felt it necessary to write down 3 things. She says, I have so much respect for you guys. Ding, ding, ding. Bullshitometer off the scale, right? You guys have given up so much, and it means everything to me. Ding, ding, ding. There it goes again. Bullshitometer. I'm going to miss you guys. Ding, 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 ding. Fucking
what
3
prize did you win?
barefaced, absolute bullshit lies, Chris. One after the other. She doesn't have fucking respect for them. She's not going to miss them. She never fucking spent any time with them in the first place to get to know them, to actually miss them. So I just I'm sorry, Chris, and I do think it is a horrible thing there to, what she's swearing on, but I just don't buy it. If you are that much of a compulsive fucking liar, I just don't
Right.
buy
Listen,
any of it.
listen. I was building up to this, Dave. So you fucking done me. You stole my thunder.
Sorry,
However, no, because obviously we are coming to this completely blind, don't we? We both have our little snippets we put together and things we want
blind,
to talk about.
unprepared, tomato,
I
tomato.
Yeah. Chris Phelps unprepared as always, but yes, I would say that I took that at face value. But the one thing, Dave, and I just know that we're going to be proven fucking right. You're going to be I'm going to be proven wrong. Sorry, that it isn't at face value. So I know she's fucking lying. You just know she's right. However, I'm trying to take. It's when she said to Dale, the thing is, I fell in love with you, and we haven't actually been on a direct date. And that's to me was like, well, how the fuck are you letting somebody get down on one knee and propose to you if you have never spent any real time with him? Honestly, Dave, I'm with you. I was trying to do a bit of a Chris 180 there, but you've done me. But however, I don't believe any of it, and I really fucking hope that if she is swearing on her dad's grave, that karma's a thing, Dave, and it is a thing, and that is fucking awful if she's doing that. I don't care what game she's playing and what she's trying to do for the ratings, and that is a disgrace. So, what got me today, Dave? Why the fuck did we go through the whole episode again? Watching it, I don't think she or Dale deserve that amount of airtime in this
Yeah.
whole bullshit bachelor fucking love story we got. They should have fucked her off after 5 minutes and gone, right, see ya. And we got another an hour and 20 of the Dale and Claire show. And we were off it last week and the week before. We're only in episode 4. And this week was just, for me, was an absolute joke. And I just feel so sorry for Taisha who's coming, Dave, because she's like some said it to me, she went, she's not going to have any time, is she? And I know some
Mm.
of the guys have gone. And we were speculating, weren't we? Are they going to bring them back? They're obviously not, because of the about time this show's going to run. But I just think, Dave, them two should not have got that time at all. I just don't believe we deserved another an hour and a half of this bollocks.
No, and I said it in the episode last week, didn't I? I don't want to see a whole episode of them two, and then you just get Tasha right at the end, and that's exactly
Yeah.
what we've got. And I think even if they hadn't have put their own spoilers, in the first bit of the first episode, and they keep teasing the same bit, it's like, Claire, you've blown up the Bachelorette. They keep repeating these fucking spoilers. So I don't need to see it because you've shown it me 20 times already. So yeah, I must admit I was a bit. I, I kind of enjoyed it, but this was the weakest episode for me. But only because they'd spoiled themselves. If they hadn't have put those spoilers in, I'd have probably been more engaged and more interested in what's actually going to happen.
Yeah,
But I mean,
I
what did you reckon to Chris Harrison being a bit out of breath there? Do you reckon he's raced from a meeting with the producers there or something? Because he was definitely out
yeah.
of breath, wasn't
You know what I thought, Dave? I thought, had she refused to leave her room, and this is where this has come about. Maybe she has just said to somebody, because she had a production runner with her, didn't she, the
he?
other day? And she's like, "Get rid of them all quick," and blah blah blah. And she was slagging different ones off. I think she's maybe refused to come out, and maybe she's just said, "Look, I can't do this anymore." And he's gone, "Holy shit, what are we going to do?" Because what made me laugh there, I was laughing. I give Chris credit because he was dropping a few swear words in
I
there. Like,
know.
he asked her 3 times in this episode, "Have you been in contact with Dale?" Sorry, twice in this episode, "Have you been in contact with Dale?" And the guys did, which we'll get onto in a minute. And she said no. So they obviously know this is not true, or there is something else. Her line of the truth is obviously skewed slightly, Dave, because this whole social media thing is bollocks. Unless she's getting someone else to contact him indirectly by another message, like she's using someone else's phone or whatever, or something like that. I don't know. And to be honest, I don't fucking care. But I do think Chris was right. The only thing made me laugh, Dave, when we were laughing, Chris went, "Well, Claire, don't worry. it's just me and you. And I went, yep, and a fucking camera crew. And they've had to tell you when to start talking as well, Chris, because I don't believe for a minute that you've just burst in there without a camera crew. It's not fucking some sort of reality TV show, Dave, or Challenge Annika Rice, where, the camera crew just does it all on the fly. It was all set up. So at that point, I didn't believe any of that either, but it was great TV.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I was wondering why he was all out of breath and stuff, but I don't think we'll ever find out that these two were speaking. But I've said I don't believe it, so I think I'm just going to park it there. That's what I think. I don't think I'll ever be convinced otherwise because that it's not in Claire's or Dale's interest to break that silence because they'll have just from what we've seen of Dale, he's got his own kind of ambition about being a some kind of TV personality or something like that. I just think there's too much for them to lose if they actually come out and basically just say they cheated everyone and wasted everyone's fucking time. So what was interesting though was Claire was saying, basically she was a bit of a stalker, wasn't she? She was
Yeah.
like, she was checking out his Instagram and like he was giving a tribute to his mom, and she said before, hasn't she, about I think the sisters in care was it or something like that, and they have these parallels with their own lives, so basically, old influencer Dale is putting out the best version of himself on Instagram, and Claire's fallen in love with that version of Dale.
Yeah.
That is the line that I think we're supposed to take and just swallow whole. Um, I guess I could kind of half buy it, but it's just bollocks, isn't it? I
Yeah.
say half buy
It
it,
is.
10% buy it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was utter bullshit, Dave. And I think uh, what got me is when she had to go and see the guys and she had to sort of say, Chris said, like, Claire wants to have a word with you and all that. And she comes in and she's chatting to him. I agree. I think the guys were right to say what they said. It was just at the point, though, where Claire sees any opportunity, Dave, and I just felt you've got 10, 15 guys there, or maybe more, potentially firing shit at her. Then it verges on a bit of a firing squad type, and I can even imagine Claire throwing the old bullying line out there, Dave. However, I do think some of the comments they said were on the money. You know what I mean? Like, it was fake. Have you seen him before? Have you met him? No, no. But what got me is that pathetic line where she's been watching too many fucking
I
afternoon
know what you're gonna
TV
say.
mo-
Can I
TV
guess?
movie.
Can we do
Go
the?
on. Yeah,
I'm not gonna apologize for love.
yeah. I am not going to do that because at first when they said we want an apology, she wouldn't apologize, and then she went, I will apologize. And then all of a sudden, the fucking waterworks come on, Dave, like a fucking tap as usual. And then she went, yeah, and you've done it. I was going to do that impression. I'm going to do mine,
Do
Claire,
it.
anyway. I'm not going to apologize for love or whatever it was. And I just sat there like, I don't believe a fucking word of this. I don't believe any of this fucking nonsense that you are telling us at all. I don't believe for 1 minute. She didn't give a fuck about the guy. She wanted the guys to put a big arm around her when Yosef and her had a fucking do. Now, we'll talk about
No,
Yosef, I
she
suppose, at
didn't.
some
She
point.
just wanted Dale.
No, no, but what I mean is when it was kicking off, she wanted them to back her up, didn't she? She was doing the old, I can't believe the way he just spoke to me and all that. But she gave as good as she got. We said this, didn't we? And all the guys were there, weren't they? Like, get out of here and all this to Yosef. And he did go too far. He was being a
Yeah,
complete
yeah.
dick. But she gave as good as she got. And all that. But then the next minute, she disrespected all those guys by playing fucking hide and seek with Dale like she was 12 years old. And she was totally disrespectful to them, Dave. So this whole thing all the way through, the guys were right to call her out. It's just that sometimes it teeters on the edge, and I think they got the balance right. But again, the Oscar-winning performance. As soon as she said that, and then a couple of the guys showed a bit of class and were like, "Well, fair enough, and show you should, and that's it." End of the day, go off with Dale. But again, we're gonna get fucking her and Claire in the next episode, Dave. I hope Chris pins them to the fucking ground. These two pair of blaggers, I really do.
You, you have gone a 180. You've gone from a believer to you want Chris fucking
I was
Harrison to pin him
I
to the
had a
ground.
little I wanted to say I had a whole spiel, Dave, but you will stole my thunder. But yeah, anyway.
So, so yeah, and Can you imagine that afternoon and evening when you were supposed to be having the cocktail party, you're mentally getting ready for the rose ceremony and everything, and Chris just says, "Yeah, there's not going to be one tonight," Dale, can I just have a quick word? And then he disappears, never to be seen again. And everyone else is like, oh, for fuck's sake, this is
Yeah.
just taking the piss. Those guys must have been fucking beside themselves, wondering what the fuck is going on. And so, I thought, was it Ben? I think it was Ben, maybe, that basically, not Dale. One of them says, I hope you're happy and all this. So he was one that was particularly gracious. Whereas I think it's one of those, isn't it? You don't want to come across like a complete douchebag, but old boy band Kenny or whatever his name was, I think he was speaking what I was thinking. He's just like, I've just wasted my time here, kind of thing. So, but I mean, after those initial waterworks, Chris, then they're quickly forgotten, and then it's all about the proposal next, isn't it?
It is, Dave, and I'll be honest with you, Dave. I think Dale should have checked his fucking underpants because he looked like he shit himself when he
Yeah.
said, "You're gonna have to propose to her," because he was just like that false smile he has was like, "Oh shit," And I wasn't sure that is the right thing to do. It's the nature of the show, but I was still thinking, and I think the producers have done that on purpose to see if this whole thing was real, Dave. I do think they did it as a bit of a play against them both.
You know what? Right, I've gone on about this in multiple podcasts, so I apologise if our long-time listeners call me out on this one. But one of my favourites was "There's Something About Mary," right? Where it happened to be, sorry, not "Something About Mary." That's the movie. "Something About Miriam,"
Miriam,
right?
yeah,
And they go through this whole bachelorette type process, and it actually, the guy who wins, he finds out that she was actually born a man, right? And before that moment, they'd been through this process, and he was genuinely in love with her. And you could see the involuntary smile, and he was just so happy, and all that was, I think it was a 2-week vacation somewhere, but he was just filled with joy. And then you see him absolutely crushed after that because he wasn't expecting it. But my point is, when you see someone that elated, you're going to get to spend what you think is the rest of your life with this person. Dale didn't have any of that, Chris.
no, no,
He had the look of someone who's like, oh shit. I wasn't kind of expecting that. And I know, right? So they're engaged today, apparently. Still
yeah.
engaged now. So well done to them. And let's face it, if it was meant to be, we hope it lasts. But it's just you've got to trust your own gut. All the life experience that you've got and everything that you're seeing, just none of it adds up. And he looked like a guy who was, yeah, that was definitely his rabbit caught in the headlights moment.
Yeah, without a doubt. I agree, Dave. I agree. And I think as well, when you seeing this whole thing, we then get the making love thing, the clothes scattered on the floor. How more fake do they think the audience is, Dave? Because I'm sat there thinking, I'm so glad I don't need something to eat because I'll probably throw it back up watching this shit because it's ridiculous. And honestly, through this whole point of this episode, I'm just like, Claire and Dave, look, and I'm sure there's going to be people support it. If she's in love with this guy and they go on and they've obviously no problem with that. I have no problem. But I think from my issue is from the start, this has been a complete deception with the audience and insulting our intelligence watching it. I don't give a fuck if they love each other and they've loved each other for a long time. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the deception and the lack of awareness of what the audience actually think. They think we're all fucking watching like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty or something, Dave, and we think it's real. It's like it's not real. She's not being genuine, and honestly, we didn't need to see all that crap. We just didn't.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've misjudged. But if we've got listeners out there who are invested, who are kind of bought into their relationship, and whatever the means, however they've got there, ultimately, they're in love. So we should be happy for them. But I'm like you. I just feel deceived by the whole thing, and the fact that Claire actually, Claire Dale actually makes a point of saying while the cameras are there about how they didn't speak before, and Claire's like, "Oh yeah, well, we didn't, of course, but no one believes us." The fact that they're making a point of going through all
Yeah,
of that dialogue just screams falseness to me, and it is about also you're protesting a little bit too much.
yeah, I agree, Dave. 'Cause she said about a lie detector test, and I'm thinking we all know how they end up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll weed anybody out who's blagging it. So no, I'm with you. I'm with you on
So,
that.
yeah, just say as well, I thought it was a marvelous piece of editing because they cut across to the guys, and he's like, I can't remember which one it was, but one of them's like, no, Claire wouldn't do that. I mean, it's so soon. They wouldn't take that intimacy to the next level. It was
Okay,
hilarious.
mate. Yeah, okay, mate. Now, Dave, we did get to meet the new Bachelorette just briefly at the end, which I think was a travesty. We needed. Now, I've kind of is it Taisha, Dave? Is it Taisha? I'm sorry,
Tasha, I think it is.
Taisha. I apologize for pronouncing the name wrong, but Dave, straight away, I'm not just saying it. I just thought, you know what, you seem quite genuine and quite a nice person already. We get a little VT of different things that's going to happen and that, and obviously Chris speaks to her, but I don't know what it is, Dave, but the vibe off her straight away is she seems like a nice girl. I could be completely wrong. We might be next week going, oh my god, she's worse than Claire. Bring Claire back. Be careful what you wish for, but she's seen there's a nice vibe and something's already changing by the looks of it. So I'm quite excited about that. I just wish episode 4 it run for an hour longer than it should have done with Claire's journey. It really just was a joke.
Yeah. I mean, after that opening scene with Chris Harrison, I just thought that they were going to that was it. It was going to be done and dusted with Clare and Dale show, and it was going to be off. But it ended up being mostly about them two, and then Tasha just gets shoved in there right at the end. So I worry a bit about how much time she's actually going to get with these guys. But I agree, she looked absolutely stunning, didn't she? Coming out of the limo, she looked kind of like happy to be there. you
Yeah.
know, so I think that's good. What I found interesting though, Chris, was the Chris Harrison gave the guys the option to either stay or go, but without any context of what's going to happen next. It's like, basically, Claire's fucked you all off. She wants to just spend more time with Dale, so doesn't want to spend any time with you losers. So, so they're like,
Losers,
do you
yeah.
want to stick around? So they don't know. He didn't say there's another Bachelorette coming in. He didn't say, oh, we might have a bit of a Bachelor in Paradise, like a Love Island kind of format. So we'll ship in a load of girls. I mean, if you're going to go home, what the fuck are you going to do? Stay at home in lockdown? So
Yeah.
I think, I thought a little bit of context would have been helpful to help some of them decide whether they were going to go or not. It's also going to flesh out or put a light on them, if you like, of the ones who are like supposedly really into Claire, and they're not
Yeah.
really. They're just like, no, I just want to be on the Bachelorette, have a bit of screen time. But I tell you, there's one person, Chris, and that's Jason. I do remember his name. And he seemed genuinely cut up by the whole thing, and that all goes back to that first date that they had, where you can tell he doesn't really like opening up to anyone, but he did, under under duress pretty much, but eventually he did open up, and you could tell that really meant something to him. And basically, I felt sorry for him. I just think, you know, Claire's fucked him up a bit there.
Yeah, I do. And I agree with you, Dave. He's gonna weed out some of the Billy bullshitters, isn't it? At the end of the day, whatever we think of Claire, you're gonna see these ones who are just there for the taking and just there for that little bit of TV time. They want to be Dale, basically, don't they, Dave? So let's see. As much as we've stood with them, knowing that we're getting played by Claire and Dale, I'm also looking at who's going to play the guys that do the same thing, and you're going to be like, you bar steward.
Yeah. But I tell you what, Chris, I am glad. It seems a lot longer than 4 episodes
Yeah.
that we've had of this. But I am so fucking fed up with the Clare and Dale show. I'm so glad that we can just turn the page now. I don't want to see another clip, another scene of those two in the remainder of this season, and we can just focus on Tasha and her journey with the rest of the blokes that are left.
Yeah, and I do, and I'm looking forward to that, Dave. It was something different. Um, Now, Dave, we've got a lovely email from our good friend Lauren. So I'll read this one, Dave. It's a cracker, an absolute cracker. It's a guest suggestion. Love the bonus episode. So happy to have you boys in what some of us call the pit of Bachelor Nation. Thank you so much for calling bullshit on the Claire is a strong woman propaganda. I think that was you, Dave. It was a
Hmm.
good call. That keeps trying to bulldoze any discussion of her very real flaws. I'm an unabashed unabashed feminist, and I don't like being made to feel guilty for calling out issues in her behavior, which are not, in fact, strong and independent. She can deliver a tell-off speech, don't get me wrong, and shines when she tells off scum like Joseph, but she's also clearly deeply insecure and craves and needs an almost constant flood of validation from outside. Even Claire's very famous strong woman origin moment when she told off Juan Pablo only happened after he told her he had not picked her as the winner. He broke up with her and rejected her first, and only then did she decide she didn't want a man like you to raise her children and tell him off. Had he made a different choice a few months earlier, she would 100% be embracing him as the man she couldn't wait to raise her children. Anyway, I know a lot of ex-contestants are trying to have her back. One really great analyst is Charlene, an opera singer who was on Juan Pablo's season with her and who ultimately eliminated herself because she didn't feel as strongly for Juan Pablo as she did for her. Charlene analyzes every episode for what lines may be frankenbitten or edited from other comments, what scenes and reactions may be a result of editing and not genuine behavior, etc., to try to present the most factual version of the episode. She's incredibly careful and fair in her analysis, and she can't give Claire the pass the other former contestants seem to want to. And she's given her blog as well, Dave. It sounds really good, actually. Her blog's called Bored Panda, and the latest entries there. So we're going to have a read of that as well. It's all the pretty pandas. It's.com. So get over there, guys, if you want a different perspective. And obviously, someone who's been there and done it. I bet you could get her on your podcast as well. She seems to be willing to guest on other pods and is incredibly intelligent. Now, that is a strong woman. Best contestant ever. This is so long, I'll stop here. Last thoughts. Rob Mills is a notorious bullshitter. Don't believe a word he says. Who's Rob Mills, Dave?
I'm trying to think. Is he what? Oh, he's the ABC executive.
Ah,
He's the one
right,
who
right.
said that basically, well, he said a couple of things. He said, Yosef's a complete scumbag, pretty much, and he also said the moment that they wanted to get Tasha in was when Claire did the whole thing where she didn't hand out the roses on the dates.
Yes,
But it
yeah, you're
doesn't
right.
add up. The timing that Tasha to get Tasha lined up and to get her in quarantine, it just doesn't add up.
Yeah, something's not right, Dave. Unless they always have a backup. I'm not sure. I'm not
Well, I
sure.
mean, that's what I was saying, wasn't it? Because the other conspiracy theory that's out there is that ABC were always going to replace Claire. But I just think, if you're in charge of this franchise, you would have to have some kind of backup plan. I know it's never happened before, but I'd thought it'd been pretty much standard for to have someone waiting in the wings.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. So, Dave, another cracking episode today. And also, we're looking, we know this is on later in the week as normal. We always try and do our bonus episode, don't we, Dave, and get it released on a Saturday. So, we're asking you guys if you want to email in, we're happy to jump on for a bonus episode at back end of this weekend. So, if you want to get over to our email address, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and just throw us some questions over there, guys, at cdrealitycast. And genuinely, it's entirely up to you how we dictate this bonus episode. With everything that's gone on in America this week, we totally understand if people are just all dramaed out, Dave. We totally get it, guys.
I'm so glued. Just keep pressing refresh on the
Oh,
news on the BBC News. It's just consuming me at the moment. So I'm hoping, Chris, that the next episode will be on Tuesday night. Assuming that we have a conclusion to the election by then, and so we'll release an episode definitely on Wednesday. As Chris said, if you guys email us in, then we'll jump on and do a bonus episode probably Sunday or Monday. But probably Sunday makes the most sense, doesn't it? And then yeah, but if there's no questions, no emails, then we'll have a day off.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, Dave, at 41 years old, I finally realised what a Democrat and what a Republican is, because I've never bothered with the US politics at all. You know, in the UK it's red and blue, and in America it's red and blue. It's Labour or Labour's red, Conservatives blue. But and you have a couple of parties, don't you, backing them up. But I've never realised who was on what side, what one was. What it never interested me. But my God, I'm the same as you. I got up for work about 3:45 the other day, and I thought, I've got to get downstairs, get Sky News on, get it on, and then we have this scoring system, and I'm like, well, what's going on here? And we've got this college electoral scoring votes. And I'm like, now I know all, Dave, because I had it on all day. I was waiting for the scores to go up or down or whatever was going on. It was unbelievable viewing. And then I saw Trump's speech live, and I was like, this guy is just, he's a, if you work
Careful
in,
now. Some
no,
of our
no, no,
listeners might
no,
be
no,
Republicans, and they're
no,
the
no,
ones with the guns, Chris.
no, no, no. I'm not saying what side of the fence I fall on, but what I'm saying is, if you are a journalist, Dave, or you run any sort of TV news thing, he is a dream for the headlines in it. You're just going to get so many clicks because he just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit whether you vote for him or not. It is, when I watch him, it's just compelling because you don't know what the hell he's going to say. It's just outrageous, some of his stuff. But yeah, I don't even. I'm just going to leave it there, Dave. But yeah, I have been glued to someone becoming United States president. I have nothing in this race. It's just fascinating to watch.
So what you're saying is you're looking for Claire to be up for the first lady president?
Yeah. Well, she could be like the fake Melania. Is it fake Melania, his wife? They always say he's a fake one, don't they? He always has
Oh, it
a
was
fake
definitely
standing.
fake. It
I
was
know it
last
was.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. He's
I
about 20 years younger.
because we don't get taught any of the American politics in the UK, do we? But because
No.
I'd worked over there quite a bit, I got to be aware of it a little bit more. But I tell you, Chris, I was out at dinner with a couple of colleagues one evening. One staunch Democrat, one staunch Republican, and the subject got onto politics. And fuck me, that was a real eye opener. And just how they were dug in the trenches, and it was like, Chris, if me and you started talking about football, right?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like that, because there is no way on earth you're going to concede any points about how great Liverpool are, and I'm not going to concede any points on how great Man United were. And it was that partisan. It was nuts, and I was like, right, I am definitely not going to get anywhere near a conversation like that again. But yeah, that was the eye opener for me. That was years ago now, but
Hey,
yeah.
hey, hang on a sec, Dave. You've just dropped a little nugget in there that you didn't think I'd spot. You've just said how good Liverpool are and how good Man United were. Let's
Did
not
I?
go down this route,
I
Dave. You've
didn't.
already started it. People, you've all heard it there. He's already
Are
enticing
you
me
going to
in.
disagree with me?
I was going to say, fuck off, Dave. We're not talking about football.
We've got actual defenders.
Oh, this is terrible.
All right, I
The
think we
podcast's
should.
taking a turn. It's taking a turn for the worst now. Right, let's get going, Dave.
Cheers, Chris. I'll
Take
speak to
care,
you next
everyone.
time. Bye now.
See you next time. Bye.